All right, this is our third video in this unit. Our learning target is 25 I can solve equations. Make sure you have your green vocabulary packet, something to write with, your white question sheet, and you're also going to need probably some scrap paper because we have several examples for you to work through. All right, couple vocabulary words, solution and solve. You're going to find that these two words really go hand in hand. To solve an equation means that I want you to find the solution. And a solution, if I'm dealing with an equation that has a variable, the solution is actually, I'm asking you for the value of the variable that makes the equation true. So I want to know what the variable stands for. So in my example, 12b equals 48. 4 is the solution because 12 times 4 equals 48. So b would have to equal 4. That's my only solution that would work, that would make that equation true. So go ahead and write down those two vocabulary words, and when you're finished, we'll get started with the lesson. All right, so we're going to solve for an equation. We're going to solve for a variable. That's our learning target here. So if I look at this example, x plus 3 equals 5. I know a lot of you are already saying, I know what the value of the variable is. But really what I'm looking for the process. I know you can figure that out with mental math, but I'm looking for the process because that's going to set you up for more difficult problems as we go on, and really as you go on through math and higher level algebra. The process is what's going to be really important. So in order to solve that problem, I want you to think of, you need to have the variable by itself. So you're going to think of this as two separate expressions. Remember, the equal sign just means that this side should equal this side. So I want to kind of think of it as a balance. Each of them are equal, so they should be balanced. So if I do something to one side of the equation, I have to do the same thing to the other. So in order to solve this, we're going to use what's called inverse operations. An inverse operation is an operation that undoes another operation. If you need to write that in your green vocabulary sheet, you've got room at the bottom. So what I mean by that, inverse operations are actually kind of opposites. So if I want to undo an addition problem, I'm going to do the opposite, which is subtraction. If I want to undo subtraction, the opposite is addition, so I would add. If I want to undo multiplication, I would divide. And finally, if I want to undo division, I would multiply. So you see how they're opposites of each other. Addition, subtraction are opposites. Multiplication and division are opposites. All right, so let's do some examples, and I think it'll make a little bit more sense. All right, so here's my problem. B minus 5 equals 18. So again, my objective is to get the variable by itself, but right now, I've got this minus 5 on the same side. So I need to get rid of that. I need to undo that. So the opposite the opposite of subtracting 5 or undoing subtracting 5 is to add 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Remember, I'm looking for this process here. So I want to see this. Even though some of you already know the answer, I want to see the process. So if I have minus 5 and I add 5 to it, that just cancels out, which is exactly what I wanted. So all I'm left with is b on this side. Then 18 plus 5 is 23. So I've solved for b. So now I just want to go back and plug it in just to kind of make sure that I'm right. So 23 minus 5, yep, that equals 18. So that's a good solution. So b equals 23 is correct. All right, let's do an addition problem. An example. So y plus 17 equals 74. Remember, I want the variable by itself on this side. So I need to get rid of or undo this adding 17. So the opposite of adding 17 is going to be to subtract 17 from both sides of my equation. Plus 17 and minus 17, that cancels. So all I'm left with is y on this side, which is what I wanted. And then I need to subtract 57. So y equals 57. So I'm going to go back and plug it in and make sure it makes sense. So 57 plus 17 equals 74. I'm correct. All right, so you just solved for a variable for both an addition and a subtraction problem. Let's do some multiplication division. Remember, the opposite of multiplication is division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So they're inverse operations. Oops, I lost my division sign. All right, so x divided by 7 equals 35. So I need to figure out what the opposite of dividing or how to undo division. So that's just to multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 7. A divide by 7 and a multiply by 7, that's going to cancel out. So all I'm left with is x equals, and then I need to do this, 245. All right, I'm going to plug it in, make sure I'm right. So 245 divided by 7. And that goes in 5 times. So I'm correct. All right, just so you are aware, another way to write this, x divided by 7, I could have written it like this. Okay, remember, this is still a symbol for division. So x, that means x divided by 7. You'd solve it the exact same way. The opposite of dividing is to multiply by 7. The 7's cancel, so all I have left with is x equals, and I would still get 245. I just want you to be aware that if you see a problem like this, x over, let's say, 8, that just means x divided by 8. Okay, just want to make sure you're aware of that. All right, so let's look at the final example here. 6x equals 24. That's a multiplication problem, so I need to do the opposite or undo multiplying by 6. So the opposite is to divide by 6. Remember, that's a symbol for dividing. Divide by 6. So my 6's cancel out. So all I'm left with is x equals 4. Okay, I'm going to go back in and check, make sure I'm right. So 6 times 4 equals 24. And that checks. Okay, remember, I know a lot of you could have done mental math on many of those problems, but I am looking for the process. I want to see your work shown on all of these problems. Okay? All right, so with that scrap paper that I asked you to have at the beginning, you can put them in your notes if you have room on that white slip, but you'll have 4 questions at the end. So probably you need some scrap paper. I've got 4 questions here. I want you to go ahead and copy them, and I want you to do the work. Go ahead and pause the video right now. As you're working on it, I will work on it as well. All right, let's go ahead and check your work. 13 plus x equals 29. If this confused you with the order there, remember the commutative property. I could have switched this around if I wanted to. It does not change the answer because I can change the order of an addition problem. If it confused you, go ahead and change it because it's addition. It doesn't matter the order. So I need to get the x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides. So I'm left with x, because those cancel out. X equals 16. And 13 plus 16 would give me 29, so that's true. Number 2. 3 times x equals 72. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3 because the opposite of multiplying is to divide. Divide by 3. X equals, let's see, that goes in 2 times 24. So x would equal 24. Down here, x minus 22 equals 17. So the opposite of subtracting would be to add 22 to both sides. Remember, a minus 22 and a plus 22, those just cancel. Don't get confused there. Those are canceling. So I have x left on this side equals 39. Remember, you should always go back and check just to make sure they're right. So 39 minus 22 is 17. All right, last example here. X divided by 5 equals 9. So the opposite of dividing would be to multiply both sides by 5. My 5's cancel, so I'm left with x equals 45. And 45 divided by 5 does give me 9. Okay? I hope you did great with those. I do have 4 more questions If you feel you're good with these, then you don't have to do them, but there are 4 more problems. If you'd like to do those, go ahead and pause the video and I will just come back with answers only. All right, if you did the extra problems, go ahead and check your answers. Remember, if you have any problems on these while we're going through the video, make sure to talk to me the next day when you see me, and I'll make sure and go through them with you. All right, last problems. These 4 problems, I want you to go ahead and write them on your white entrance slip. These are the ones I'm going to be looking for. All right, have a great day. I hope you were great with this lesson.